Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Esports Money's ESM Mac 10, the Baldezian Bosa, or if you are watching this video, what you probably know me as, Furion Stormrage. And today we're going to be talking about Monk in Baldezian Arsenal. Now, the first question you're probably wondering if you're not in the know is, why the hell would you want to play Monk? Well, here's the thing. It is the highest damage dealing job in the Baldezian Arsenal right now as of, well, it's been this way for a while, but I'm making this video in patch 7.5. That's currently the case. As you can see behind me, we are doing this live. We're also using the fancy camera for this. This might be the only guide I end up making with the fancy camera because getting into position for this was kind of a pain in the dick, but we'll see how it goes. So, why does Monk do the most damage? All right, so let me make this a little bit bigger, a lot bigger. There it is. That button right there. That officer. That one right there. That one. So it's a 1200 potency physical damage weapon skill. So weapon skill, it's buffed by focus. Physical damage, it's buffed by double edge. It's buffed by duelist. It's buffed by everything that could possibly be particular about being buffed as a monk in the Baldezian Arsenal. We compare this to Samurai. Samurai has a 620 potency auto crit skill in Madare. You can 16-16 that all day, but even if you direct hit it, you're going to end up at about the amount of damage, probably slightly less damage, than the tornado kick does if you don't crit or direct hit. Now, with my food on, I'm going to go ahead and pop food, caramel popcorn. That's about a 17.7% crit rate. That is about a 32% direct hit rate, and that much debt is about, I want to say, 11% flat damage buff. You may notice I now have a funny top hat if you've seen me in the Baldezian Arsenal. The top hat is a new addition. Why am I wearing a top hat? Because if I'm really banking on the tornado kick, I use a different gear set. So this is the tornado kick set. This is the regular set. So the regular set, you can see significantly reduced. Actually, we'll compare. So we've got 937, 1002, 868. Direct hit doesn't change, but with 820, 810, we lose a lot of substats. Now, oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. This person just said, I like your Eureka videos. I am recording one this second, actually. Smile. So that's so lit. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so I use two different gear sets, one for the tornado kick, one for not. Something that's really important to take away here is if the kill time, like if the boss kill time is like fairly long, so like if you're talking like 8 minutes, 7 minute plus Ozma, if you're talking a post triple impact stream, really like post 5 minutes, so like multiple minutes beyond triple impact, it's usually going to be a DPS gain to be using the haste gear. Like, do not believe their lies. The haste gear is a DPS loss, assuming that you are pressing your buttons consistently. So in general, lately I've been just running the tornado kick set, and the reason why I have the top hat is so I know which one I'm in, because a lot of times I won't notice the difference between the 1.83 and the 1.98 GCD. Furion, how can you not notice that? Because it's already fast as hell. The other reason is that 6% haste from the Cassie and the Blitz, that's not just a 6% faster GCD. Unlike skill speed, which buffs the damage your auto attacks do, haste reduces the delay on your auto attacks. So that's also stacking with the 3% on the Kirins, and that's stacking with the 15% that Monk has from its Grease Lightning 3 at this level. So more auto attacks, more better. But the point being is, I like to use a separate set for Tornado Kick, but regardless of what set I'm using in BA, if I'm playing Monk in BA, I'm always going to open Tornado Kick. And to be honest, if you line up all the buffs properly, which is the hardest part, but once you get used to it, it's dead brain easy. But to be honest, if you crit direct that thing, and you lined up all the buffs correctly, you're probably going to be one of the highest damage dealing people in the entire raid. Even if you rip aggro and just get one shot as soon as you tornado kick. Like, it does so much damage. The world record right now is a little bit over 350,000 damage. Reminder, this is I-300 level 70 content with no echo. No echo in BA. We have echo in Open Your World Eureka, but not in BA. That 350 was on Ozma. So with that little intro over, we are now, we're 5 whole minutes in. Let's talk about the setup. So I'm going to go ahead and make a remember just because. I'm also going to make a... We're going to need a duelist, if it'll make. Nice. And we're also going to need a double edge focus. So first thing I'm going to do is pop on the Spirit of the Remembered. Let's go ahead and teleport down to Dragonstar Observatory. One thing about this camera is, as high a quality as it is, if my monitor gets dim, you really can't see me. Anyway, so I'm going to put timestamps in the video, so if you already know the basics of Monk, feel free to skip ahead. But I'm just going to talk a little bit of basic Monk stuff here. At least level 70 basic Monk stuff, I am far from an expert once we get into the higher levels. So you've got Form Shift will basically let you just use anything uncomboed, so to speak. Like basically you've got a combo, but it's not a combo where use this, then use this, then use this. You have a stance, and so using a weapon skill will put you into stance 1, which will let you choose from 3 weapon skills. So like True Strike, Twin Snakes, 4-Point Fury. 4-Point Fury is the AoE. Whoops. Twin Snakes is your builder, and True Strike is your spender. So what do I mean by builder and spender? Because these aren't related to gauge in the traditional sense. Now, you probably just, if you look over at this gauge, you'll notice I didn't have anything lit up, and now I have most of it lit up. So what I did there was, by using Demolish, I get 2 charges of the third one. By using Twin Snakes, Twin Snakes, I get this charge, and then using Dragon Kick will give me this charge. Now, you have to be in the specific stance in order to gain those stances, or to gain the buff, the gauge that it gives you. Or you can cheat by pressing the Form Shift button. Now, using your whole rotation to work your way up to the gauge is going to be way more damage overall than simply like form shifting every other GCD to have gauge. However, if you're in an open raid, like an Alliance raid or the Baldesian Arsenal, you can use Form Shift if you've got, like, let's say, well, we're right here. I've got everything except this one last charge, the farthest to the left on my gauge there. That comes from Dragon Kick, and what that does is it increases the potency of Boot Shine by 200. Again, this is all, like, I'm in Eureka right now. This is how it works level 70. So Boot Shine. When guarantees a critical hit in Oppo form and takes it from 180 potency to 380 if I have that last thing lit up. So if I Dragon Kick, I can't get gauge off of it yet, but I can Form Shift. Boom. Now I have full gauge. And so something you'll notice is this is lit up. Why is this lit up? Because I have gauge for it. Snap Punch. This is 380, this is 230 potency that goes up to 380, or actually in Eureka it's 290 that goes up to 440 because you just always have the positional bonuses because there aren't positionals in Eureka. This is illuminated because I have gauge. Boot Shine. I have the first of the 3. That's illuminated. Now it's gone. So this one is lit up now. Why is this one lit up? This one is lit up because I don't have that middle gauge. Now I do. Now I can Snap Punch again. I have consumed that second charge of gauge. Now if I notice how Boot Shine didn't light up this time, Dragon Kick lit up. Why? Because I'm in the stance to do one of these two with a bonus. The one, if you have gauge, the one that is essentially the gauge spender, the buff spender, will be illuminated. If you don't, then the builder will be illuminated. Why am I explaining all of this? Well, the reason I'm explaining all of this is it's a very long-winded way to say, get all your gauge before the boss, and then, no really, press the glowy button. This is a very, very busy job, but you just press the glowy button, fam. The only time you even really have to think about it is like when you're coming out of Perfect Balance. We'll talk about Perfect Balance in a moment. Now, the other thing that you have is The Forbidden Chakra. This is a physical nuke that's an OGCD of 310 potency. This is a that's a lot of damage under 16 stacks of Double Edge and Duelist Wisdom, both of which buff it multiplicatively. You get like, if you see these, like, 5 orbs, the glowing orbs... Oh, sorry, I'm just gonna do really, really quickly. Properties, capture cursor. Let's see if this captures my cursor now. Yes, we have the cursor. Excellent. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so these are the gauges I've been talking about. So you notice I've got the 5 orbs, the 5 chakra. Now, if I'm in combat, I can spend those chakra. Boom. That nuked him. If I hit Forbidden Meditation, it will get me 1, it will get me 2. Well, how else do I get them? By critting. Every time you crit, at level 100, it's 100% of the time, but at level 70, it's 80. So, yeah, didn't give it to me there. But when you're in combat, basically what you do is you spam that when you're forced to peel away from the boss. It's like you're either spamming that, you're hitting Form Shift once, or, depending on where you are in a fight in BA, oftentimes what I'm doing is changing trays. So, use good judgment. If you're not changing trays, like if you're carrying like a DE focus all the way up to AV and you're having to peel away from like a Raiden when he jumps, then that's a great time to just spam Forbidden Meditation. But when you're out of combat, press it once, gives you 5 charges. The reason I'm bringing that up is Brotherhood. Brotherhood's a 5% raid buff on a 2-minute cooldown, just like, you know, Searing Light from Summoner at this level. What it does, though, is it allows the opening of up to 10 chakra and grants Meditative Brotherhood to yourself and party members. And what Meditative Brotherhood does is it means whenever a party member or you execute a spell or weapon skill, a GCD, any GCD, you have a 20% chance to get a charge of the Forbidden Chakra, which means with how much your Reek and Haste is in the raid, Brotherhood is basically, it feels like you are weaving the Forbidden Chakra every GCD, or every other GCD. Like, if you are really using this to its maximum capacity, your damage will actually suffer a little bit because you're going to be clipping your GCD that much. So, all of this is really important. But like I said at the start, you can still end up like one of the top damage people in the raid if you really land your first GCD right. So let's talk about that first GCD, Tornado Kick. So, I mentioned earlier we were going to talk about Perfect Balance shortly, and it's been shortly. So, Perfect Balance grants 3 stacks of Perfect Balance, allowing each stack allowing the execution of weapon skill that requires a certain form without being in that form. Now, that's what the description means if you are, below whatever level I start being able to spam Masterful Blitz. But at this level, the really important bit is it opens specific chakra. Now, if you use a weapon skill that changes you to Oppo Oppo form, gives you the Oppo Oppo chakra, use a Raptor skill, Raptor chakra, Coral form, or Coral, however you pronounce those big cats. Oppo Oppo is Coral, Raptor is Oppo Oppo, and Coral gives you Raptor. But the important thing is, different stances, you want to either have 3 that are all the same from the same stance, or 3 from different stances. So when you do it, using 3 weapon skills, so I'll just use it now. Perfect Balance. Alright, so Arm of the Destroyer changes form to Raptor. 1, 2, 3. And you can see I've got the 3 Zs now. They're all the same. Elixir Field. This is an 800 potency nuke. Boom! These are the monk stickers, if you heard about monks complaining about stickers. Some pompous monks like to call them naughty, because that's what they're actually called. But anyway, so notice I've got one of the naughty there. If I press Perfect Balance, and now I do 1, and you don't have to do AoE, I'm in the habit of using it on AoE for a very specific reason we'll get into. Now, I'm actually not going to hit this mob, because all you have to do is be in combat to trigger the Perfect Balance. This timer is ticking down, but if I press this button, even out of combat, even hitting nothing, boom, I've got the second one. So, now all you gotta do is press Perfect Balance and do a 1, 2, 3 combo. I just spam Arm of the Destroyer 3 times. and then you can tornado kick. So let's talk about how we set this up. So you probably, hopefully noticed a moment ago, there was the timer up here that was, actually you can't see it, so let's tilt, yeah, now you can see my cursor well. So you will see a timer ticking down there that starts at 20 seconds. Takes you a little bit under 40 seconds to stack up 16 stacks of focus. So how do you do that? Weapon skills that are AoE do not consume focus or focus stacks if they do not connect with an enemy. Now, Form Shift, it's technically a weapon skill, but it doesn't hit an enemy, so it won't drop your focus stacks. This was a huge change for those of us that played a lot in Shadowbringers, because if you used Form Shift, which functioned exactly how it does today, back during Shadowbringers, it would consume your focus stacks. And if you did like Armor the Destroyer on nothing, boom, all your focus stacks are gone. But that's not the case anymore, which is how we're able to work around it and land the tornado kick. So what I'm going to do now is give you an example. It's pretty straightforward. Something I've mentioned in a lot of my videos in the past is that damage buffs are multiplicative. So in this game. So that means that focus, it's 30% a stack. 16 stacks is going to be 480%. You don't add 40% from Duelist to make 520%. You add 40% of your base, which is 100%, plus 480, so you're at 5.8x damage. It's 40% more on top of that. So, like, Double Edge is 240% with 16 stacks, or at 16 stacks. Double Edge plus Duelist would be 100% of your base. Then 240 makes it 340. Add another 40%, 380. That's not how it works. You get to that 340, add 40% to 340, it's 476. You're actually doing close to 5x damage instead of a little bit under 4x damage. And specifically with focus, that math is really important, because the final calculation for Duelist plus focus plus Double Edge, all fully stacked, is a grand total of 2,760% damage. So that is 27.6 tornado kicks at once. These are 1200 potency, and you can crit direct them. So, got 16 stacks of focus. Let's start ticking up the Double Edge. So what we're going to have to do, most likely, really wish I got a fairy buff before doing this, because I have no idea how hard that Double Edge is going to hit me. I guess we're going to see. Now remember, if I am out of combat, I can't use Perfect Balance. But I have my Naughty, which is the most important thing. And if I were pulling a boss, like if I were about to pull Absolute Virtue, I would actually want this little bit of bonus gauge too. You kind of want to pre-pull, squeeze out everything you possibly can. I want this guy to die. Beautiful. Alright, now we can set ourselves up. So, we're going to do 1, 2, and I'll go ahead and second wind mantra. Alright, so now I've got the tornado kick ready. I've got all of my buffs. We're going to Brotherhood, Riddle of Fire, and Tincture of Strength. And this is about to be fucking disgusting. I'm just going to bring up my chat log, because I'm struggling to see this. Settings, log filters, log details, battle, right? Let's make that 24. Okay. So make sure that you're noticing the zeros there. That is, yes, it's against a level 43 mob, and I'm in Pyros. But it's not even a crit, and a crit would buff it by another 57%. It would be over 12 million damage. I just tornado kicked that thing for 7.9 million damage. This is not a gacha game. This is Final Fantasy XIV. That's a shitload of damage. So, if you are interested in doing this in BA, let's talk. Actually, I need to fix that at some point. But oh no, it looks like it only does it if I peel it off. Okay, cool. So now let's talk about what you should be bringing into BA if you want to do this. This is a screenshot that I'm just going to just put up here on the screen. These are my standard trays for playing Monk in the Baldesion Arsenal. This screenshot was taken from a VOD right before EV, which is why it's a little bit depleted. So what I do is I stack, stack focus, pop DE, about 52. So like a lot of people will start stacking focus at around 40 seconds or 42 seconds, and a lot of people like to stack DE at 45 seconds. You have to do the break dance first. You want to give yourself as much time in both directions as physically possible when you are learning to do this, because this sucks to learn to set up, which is why I'm making this video. So what you do is stack up focus times 16. I pop my DE that's paired with that focus 52 seconds before pull. So I pop the DE, I stack the focus, and right as we get down to around 7 or 8 seconds before the pull, I will open up... Actually, you can't... Well, you can see my tiny mouse up here. But I will open up this tray of Double Edge Rapid Recast. I will immediately pop the Double Edge, then the Rapid Recast, and then I will open up the first of the Duelist Double Edge trays. What is the Rapid Recast for? Well, I will immediately use Duelist. Duelist might be an OG CD, but it's a Wisdom, and Wisdoms are actually spells. Rapid Recast only works on abilities. It has no effect on this. Rapid Recast gives you a 15-second buff that makes it so the next ability you use has a 50% reduced cooltime, or its cooltime is half. So I'm not going to misalign like any of this shit. So what am I going to do? I'm going to use it on Brotherhood, because then I get two Brotherhood burst windows, basically Brotherhood plus Riddle in my opener after I Tornado Kick, and I get it for the second one as well, or for the second minute as well. Basically, my first two uses of Riddle of Fire will be accompanied by a Brotherhood. Remember, Riddle of Fire is 15%, Brotherhood's another 5%, and we just went over, that doesn't mean 20, that's actually slightly higher than 20, because of the way multiplicatively stacking buffs work. Not just that, but it also means that I get to spam the Forbidden Chakra the whole time too. So then I pull the boss, and by this time, so let's bring my mouse up to the trays, we are right around here. When I engage the boss, I have 16 stacks focus, 16 stacks double edge, I have the wisdom up, I have popped Brotherhood, I have popped Riddle of Fire, and I have used a strength potion. You don't have to use the latest strength pots, just make sure that that 262 number you see on the strength pot, make sure that that is at least 10% of, at least a little bit more than 10% of that. That's all you need. And I say a little bit more because you will get up to 5% strength as the 5% buff if you've got an adequately diverse party comp in there. So just be aware. So make sure that you've got a good strength pot. You've got those 3 buffs. You've got double edge. You've got focus. You've got duelist. When you land that tornado kick, you will now be in 16 stacks of double edge for probably another 30, 40 seconds. Actually, yeah, around way more, maybe not quite 40, but pretty close to 40. That's without pressing the double edge paired with this wisdom. So let's just say 45 seconds, your first DE is about to end. You pop the second DE that's paired with that duelist. Now, you can chain as long as you want on AV and just keep the double edge going. It's really, like, if your double edge falls off, do not open another tray to refresh your double edge because you're going to be rebuilding stacks again. You've already fucked it. Sorry. It happens to all of us. So, when you are hitting your next tray, something that's a little bit of a micro-optimization, and this is mostly for Absolute Virtue, because I've just rapid recasted my Brotherhood, and Riddle of Fire is naturally half the cooldown, so they're both about to come off cooldown. If I've got like 10 seconds left on both of these cooldowns, if I'm in this double edge tray and don't like, and I've used the double edge that's paired with it, I will immediately drop down into the next tray and pop the wisdom without the double edge. Why? Because otherwise my double edge will be falling off right as I'm going into my second Brotherhood Riddle of Fire burst window. And if I'm going to be interrupted, I would rather it be when I'm not in the crazy bursty end of my rotation. However, every time you do that, it is a gamble, because that is assuming that you'll have a favorable melee uptime friendly pattern of puddles on Absolute Virtue. If you do what I just described and you don't have melee uptime, then you just kind of screwed yourself, because you've got to peel off the boss anyway, and that is also a naturally good time to refresh your double edge. But personally, I don't want to be interrupted when I'm in my 1 minute in, second, essentially back-to-back 2-minute burst window. That's pretty much it for this one, y'all. I will add that the second double edge focus tray, that's for Ozma. Now remember, you're in DE plus Duelist when you get to Ozma. If you are doing what I do, when you get to Ozma, you're in a DE Duelist. Pop the DE that's, like, wait till the pull time's announced, wait till you've got 50 to 52 seconds before the pull time, pop your double edge, then drop into that final, this tray right here, this DE plus focus tray, and immediately start stacking focus, and just use the double edge paired with that to refresh it before your double edge falls off. Use focus one more time, swap into actually, as long as you've continued to spam focus, you shouldn't even need to refresh it again, because you're not going to be as particular, because you're not rapid recasting Brotherhood again. Anyway, the point being is, you will then have your 16/16 plus Wisdom, and because you were in a DE Duelist at the start, that you use to build stacks. The DE that's paired with the focus is what you use to, begin your first 45 seconds of 16 stacks. And now you're in a Duelist DE, so you've got essentially a guaranteed, just by having one DE Duelist and your DE focus left, if you burned everything but those, and you arrive at the boss, if you arrive at Ozma with a DE Duelist, you are guaranteed 16 stacks of focus, 16 stacks of double edge, and your wisdom to use your tornado kick, and you have 90 full seconds of 16 stacks of double edge. So you'll have a really, really disgusting opener in Ozma 2. Not quite as cracked as AV, but still pretty good. And a lot of the times, if you're encouraging other people to do this, as I literally am right now by making this video, you will have even more trays left over for Ozma, because if everyone's dumping on AV, then you're most likely going to have a pretty quick Ozma, because that means everybody's going to have trays left over from AV to then spend on Ozma. This is why I tell people never to hold trays for Ozma and to dump it on AV instead. I think that's about it. The only other small thing I would add is, obviously, if you're going to be using my trays right here, make sure that you have applied Spirit of the Remembered before you do this. The food that I use is caramel popcorn. I think, yes, caramel popcorn. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll show my gear set one more time. I'm actually leaning a little bit more on the determination side than the direct hit side here, and the reason is I would really like to chase the world record for the biggest tornado kick, and all you need is to direct hit. Having more direct hit stat doesn't cause it to do more damage, so yes, it's less likely you will get the D hit, but if you do, it will be bigger if other direct hit you have melded was dead. So that's mostly my thought process on this. I think this is pretty close to the best possible relic that you can get for Monk, the best Physios. Because your max stat is 114, so I've got 114 crit, 114 direct hit, and 78 det. I really wish the 78 det was 86, but I don't, or sorry, 84, but I don't know if I'm willing to go spend a couple hundred Smoldering Proteans to try to get 6 fucking determination. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Really important. If you play jobs that don't need gauge, the Build Gauge brothers are now incredibly relevant to your interests. You want to make sure that you have both of these naughties right here when you're waiting for the boss. Because, yes, you can just, 1, 2, 3, God, this is massive, and then Elixir Field or Flint Strike, but you're missing out. Okay, now I think that's the you messed up one. But Elixir Field and Flint Strike are 800. This is 12, so you will miss out on 50% of your damage if you forget to have both of your stickers ready. And again, I like to get all 3 of these, but that's you know, I'm trying to squeeze out as much damage as I possibly can. Missing this one is, let's see, yeah, that's the Bootshine one. So yeah, that's a shitload of potency. So you would really prefer to have that before you fight the boss. Yeah, just set yourself up for success. If you're watching this, you probably already know me. Feel free to leave questions in the comments or DM me on Discord. You can find me in Cafe and then just search for Furion Stormrage. My DMs are typically open, but I usually don't leave it places so that I get slightly less spam than usual. So thanks so much for watching, and 7.9 million is a lot. Peace.